Hi, I'm Gila Nehemia. You're tuned into Women Who Write, and I'm really excited today because I am here with Selma Harwell. We're going to be doing a course together, Radiant Sutras, Sensual Poetry Course, and I wanted to know a little bit about Selma, and I would love our listeners to know a little bit about her as well, as we are co-creators of this course. So, Selma, welcome. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, Nehemia, for having me be with you. And I just want to say that, for me, uh, my part in co leading with this poetry is the spiritual healing that I do that will be helping women ground in a meditation that's based on my shamanic lineage as who I am in the world is modern day medicine woman. And I have really been in this work most of my life and so many years of the healing aspect, the sharing and the sharing the mastery through activations for others to learn the healing for themselves, because in my belief it's we're all born with the ways to heal with our hands, and of course our as our spirit is lifted up, our mindset also shifts, and it's just such an ease to go through life, and when something comes up we can apply the energy medicine, and it just is an assist that we don't often have the tools for, not just using it, but the sharing of it. And so I'm really happy to be around these times because more and more people are inquiring about what is this gift that we all have as human beings, and how can we not only help our own lives, but everyone's lives. So, as far as the grounding, we'll begin each of the classes with a meditation so that and I don't even like to call it a meditation because people have kind of opinions about what that is, and sometimes they think they can't. So, what I do is we begin with breathing because we all do that. We must, it's so natural, and it's an introduction to how natural it is to allow ourselves to just be in the moment with ourselves, with whatever comes to us. And then as we go into that state of being, then we are tapped into our soul through our hearts, and then we get to listen completely newly from the mundane world or even the chaotic world. It's a whole different access to peace. So that's a long answer, but it does tell both of what I'm up to and what we would do together.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Selma. I
Yeah,
know
you're welcome.
you said that you're a modern day medicine woman, and you are also an artist and a poet. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that and how that how that ties into your work as a modern medicine woman.
Yes. Well, I have finally just, thought of, basically all my poems are spiritual poems. And so I thought, oh, well, I'm a spiritual poet. And that is how I came about being one of the co leaders, because I'm published in a book by Radhaa Publishing with uh, other poets. And then Nehemia is also published in one of her books, I believe, but she leads the course. And so I was selected to do that opening of the heart for people to get comfortable with themselves. Um, and I know that all my poetry has come um, through the divine. So you can call it whatever you like. That's what it is for me. But some people just know that they're tapping into something other than what they're used to about themselves, their guidance. And when that happens, then I guess the best description for me is that the poem falls onto the page. The words fall onto the page. It's not so much thinking and rearranging and all the things that we want to do with it. And we just let the words come through. So that'll be included a little bit in the meditations. They will be visual as well. Doesn't mean you have to see anything. It's just that I lead the visual and you're left to have your presence just opening the mind, opening the heart and soul. And my first poem just came out of someone else asking me because I was torn, is what I told her. And that became the title of my first poem.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you. Gila, you can call me Gila, by the way. Gila Nehemia. Most people know me as Gila, so sometimes my last name
Right.
people might get thrown off, but totally fine.
Oh,
Um,
good,
that,
good, good. I just was like, I don't know. I guess I thought I was informing, not just talking to you. But yes, I am just
okay,
talking to you
wonderful.
right now. Thank you for
But
that.
I love that. I love that, the invocation or the meditation is coming into the heart and how your poetry has blossomed, from the first poem that you've written and the spirituality and the medicine that comes with it. Because I feel like writing and poetry come from deep within us, our hearts, our souls, our auras, it's like, it's art. It just like kind of forms from one word. It could be just, I've written poems that are just like three words, but
Yes.
and so, sometimes they don't have to be lengthy. And I think it's just like that. We need the space. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like you're starting to create the space that brings in our participants into
Yes.
that inner world, into their heart space.
Mm-hmm.
And as we go in, we will be sharing prompts and other things, ideas, images, to not only help them to create their works of art, but also to get into that container of safety, and to hold them.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And I want to also speak to a little bit more to when you spoke to the art of it. And, because um, poetry isn't the only art that I grew up as an artist, but, being an artist, like the poetry, it's like the things that come natural to you, or I'll say the things that came natural to me, I wouldn't even recognize that I was an artist. I just recognized that I loved to play with paint at first. Like early on, like 5 years old, how smushing finger paints, were wonderful. And so now, as life goes on, and then I designed some clothing, I designed some jewelry, and, just play with different aspects of what come our way. And also live as an artist and sell my work, and eventually coming to pottery. That was my second poem because I took the pottery class, and on the way home, which was like a 30-minute drive, um, the poem was in my head, and I just couldn't wait to get home and just let it fall onto the page. That's where I got that. And it was just describing that place of listening to what the pot wants to be that I'm making pottery, and to the shape I have in mind. So it was just that communion that you have that comes natural, and yet without practicing, then maybe it doesn't get developed. So that's part of what will happen in the course, is that you'll be practicing, not just getting into your heart, but practicing letting it come out. And with that is also the speaking of it, because we'll be reading them aloud, which is very powerful to get to speak to our poems, but like speak out the poems to one another. And that is its own wonderful experience that gets to be practiced as well. So we're developing different parts of our, not just art, but different parts of our connection, and not just to ourselves, but to each other.
Yeah, I love that. I love the or just the image you created with connecting to the pot as you were creating it, communicating with it, working with
Yes.
it. That's beautiful. And that's exactly what I was thinking as well as you ended. It's just like it's not just about, what's going on with us and we're creating art from it. It's a group, we're in a group. So it's the energy that we create together. And we bounce ideas off of each other and we get inspired by each other. And sometimes, we feel each other. So I feel like
Yes.
all that's going to happen. And the sensuality is, I think, really entwined with our emotions. It's not, it can be about romantic love, but it doesn't have to. It can also be love of ourselves, just
Mm-hmm.
our expression of love. And that has varying degrees, which I am
Yes.
really excited to explore. Even familial love, it's like
Mm-hmm.
I think we put things in categories in our minds, and I think that when we can break those up, and realize that, like, gentle touch, on the shoulder to a child or to a
Mm-hmm.
friend, means so much. So, how we can explore that into greater detail, I think. And I like to use a lot of synonyms, words I probably never use in speech, but I look up words because, instead of sometimes I say the same word because that's what comes to mind, but I know
Mm-hmm.
I want more granularity. So, we can talk about that as well, and also explore that together as we are practicing. And we're going to have a Facebook group, so we're going to share our poetry there as well. But I also agree with you in terms of speaking our poetry was really hard for me. I would sometimes do it on Zoom, but I had recently done it in my neighborhood, where I actually said a few poems during one of my friends' concerts, and it was really fun. It was like really scary, but
Yes.
when you have that first, like, oh, that was great, then you get all this confidence. You're like, okay, I'm gonna go do another one. So yeah, it's
True.
really wonderful. It's definitely a process, though. I agree with you.
Yes. Yeah. It's also a discovery, like you're not just discovering, again, something about yourself. You're discovering a lot about the process. So in being in that process, you're discovering more about you in your process of life. And what else? Granularity. I wanted you to speak to that because I just think that's a really interesting word that you picked. And I'd like to explore what you might mean about that. I get to ask you a question now.
Yeah, I think that, sometimes we use very broad words, and so how can we get into more detail about what exactly that feeling is? Honestly, what came to mind as we were
Okay.
speaking
Hmm.
was I went on a retreat just for women a long time ago in Spain. Could have been about 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
And and I guess why this is coming to mind is because I was talking about sensuality and like how we normally use that in terms of couples, but we were doing this women's workshop where we were, really getting close to each other, both physically, mentally, and emotionally, but it was with respect. And there was
Yes.
and it was, and in terms of the granularity, it's also not just with the words but also with touch, right? Some people like
Hmm.
a little more touch and some people like a little less. And how do you express that? I was thinking about the word
Yes.
nice, right? What does nice mean? It's like kind of a flat word, but it
Yeah.
means something positive, usually. But yours, or you could say, I don't know. I'm just thinking about the painting. Instead of saying it was nice, it had a lot of color. It expressed a lot of detail. There were
Yeah.
some grandiose strokes, and in other places, it was like spotted with, and then you could get into all the different colors. But there's so much more
Sure.
detail that can come
Yes.
out. And
Boy,
even from the word nice, maybe we could create an entire poem that
yeah.
really explains what you were
Hmm.
trying to say.
Oh, that's so great. I'm so glad I asked you. Yeah, that's so good. You also reminded me of in grade school, a friend of mine said, Selma, you like to say things are so nice. She said, things aren't nice, just people are nice. And I mean, it's not even, like it's a rule or anything, but it gave me something to think about. Well, yeah, I mean, I could maybe use a different word, just like what you're saying. Let's explore wording and not get so, like attached to a particular word that is used broadly, like you say. And so that's why I call it playing with the words.
Mm.
And I let, I was just going to say, I let my mind play with the words. But I think that the part my mind plays in it is once I'm in my heart, then the mind must read that or something. Because then, it's not eliminating thinking, but it's thinking newly in just a whole different way than we're used to. And the rhymes happen sometimes, and then sometimes they don't. Uh, so it really is exploring in a whole different way. And you were also talking about the touch and the difference that makes for people, and that it for me is in the world of energy medicine. That is an example of how we affect each other and don't really think about that. We're just interacting and maybe having conversation and yeah, I mean, it's kind of obvious that we're affecting each other if we get upset. And it's also obvious when we, feel really great talking with someone and the impact that makes. So what I love to talk about even in energy medicine, you also mentioned was like, in a group, it's a different uh mm, impact might not be the word, but definitely a different outcome. I love to call that compounded energy. And I mean, that word I hear used more for money, but even that's a great example because it's the energy of money and it compounds over time. So do we when we're in a group together. Our collective energy compounds the result. And it's how the classroom then becomes its own creation of who is in the classroom together and how the words are heard. And it just becomes this whole new way to play with all of it and affect each other in so many new ways. And so that it is more discovery until it's such a completely different experience than we can even say now. It becomes
Yeah,
its own thing. Yeah.
right, right, true. It's a creation.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. There's something that I'm trying to think of the right word too. I was thinking
The,
dynamic, but there's something
that's,
that happens in a group
mhm,
that that is, that you feel you have this group energy. And I was even thinking about, like, we may see each other through Zoom, but we're not going to actually be physically, in front, and it's not going to be face to face. But at the
right?
same time, that energy is created, just by us meeting together, and the words that we
Yes.
share with each other has an impact. And I think that, part of at least my goal with this are, part of the things that I wanted, that I felt called to share, to become part of this group, to lead it, co-lead it, was that we're going to create a movement, this movement of spreading love, spreading real, creating this positive energy and this
Hmm.
force, that is because it comes from this, rooted force,
Yes.
within us. And as we move together as people, we can just blossom with it,
Mm,
including all the, it's like there isn't just one love energy, right? Love is combined with all the different kinds of energy that we have. And as we release and open, it can only be compounded, it can only go exponential. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to, or I'm hoping, that we're going to see that, and we'll see what will occur together.
yeah. Well, and to that, I also look at love is healing. That's the love energy is what heals. And let's see, there was something else I wanted to address. Yeah, it's that love energy. We're used to in a particular way, like you said. Oh, yeah, I know what I was going to say. It's about speaking to the sensuous feminine ways. And it doesn't leave men out, of course. They're on either on the opposite end or they're in touch with their own femininity. And but it's the power of the feminine ways that we have that get to not just explore with each other with words and being together, but expanding our own owning of the power of our femininity so that it it creates a deepening of the listening for ourselves. And so then we're back to the love. The love increases for ourselves. And when we have that for ourselves, we have that to once again impact our environment, whether close by in community or into the town and onto the world.
Yeah,
And
beautiful.
yeah, and I just want to say, like really, that's kind of the great thing about Zoom or having classes online, I should just say. They don't just happen through Zoom, but it was a big opening through there um, for people to come together, and when we couldn't any other way, and yet remains a fantastic support to enhance
Yes.
whatever like whatever interactions we have people with people in person.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, I
Mhm.
totally agree. And you can also, there are no boundaries, right? It really creates this, really open field,
Mhm.
fertile ground. So I'm totally
Yes.
looking forward to that. I'm so glad we got together today, and we got to share a little bit about you, and excuse me, some, ideas about the course. And we're so looking forward to it. So we're going to have the sign up in the details below, and we're really looking forward to you joining. It's starting October 26th,
Yes.
and it will go on for 8 sessions, meeting every other week until February 1st. Um, and the doors are open, so grab your seat, and we'll be so excited to connect with you and grow with you and learn more together. Do you want to say any closing words, Selma?
Oh, yeah, just join us because we're also going to have fun. I always like to put that
Yeah, of
in there
course.
too. It's going to be fun to be together and explore in ways that we don't know. So, yes, come and join us and jump right in to get your own spot.
Thank you. Thank you. So until next time, we're looking forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you.